Hey guys, welcome back to another low-effort update video featuring me, the one that doesn't make From Software content. I promise you we'll get onto that as soon as literally anything about Elden Ring is revealed. But here we are, talking about Halo Infinite once again. I've missed talking about some previous pieces of information, but some stuff has come out recently, and I'm definitely not missing out on this one, and I'll try to cover what I missed previously here. So what has been talked about? Well, a pretty substantial information dump talking about the development of Halo Infinite and what's been going on since July with a glimpse of Infinite's multiplayer and customization. So let's get into it. First, we've got a little intro by the man, the myth, the legend, Joseph Staten. If you don't know who he is, he's a previous Bungie employee who worked on all the original Halo games as a narrative lead or project lead. He's also responsible for giving us the Covenant side of the story in Halo 2 and Arbiter, so, you know, I got a lot of respect for the guy. And Joseph a couple months back joined 343 Industries and replaced the previous guy as project lead, basically putting him in charge of Halo Infinite, which I'm 100% certain is a very good move. Anyway, Joseph talks about how happy he is to return to Halo and confirms we'll be getting a fall 2021 release for Infinite, on Halo CE's 20th anniversary to be exact. Finally, a good Halo CEA! So mark your calendars, 15th of November will be when we finally get our hands on Halo Infinite. Unless there's another delay. Moving on, following Mr. Staten's introduction, we're introduced to two members of Infinite's art team and we get a bit of discussion on that angle. One of the first things discussed by the art team was the response to how Halo Infinite looked during the July reveal, which, from what I saw, was the source of some controversy. There were objects popping in and out of reality, a lot of the banished units and guns looked plasticky, and probably most famously, we got introduced to the most depressed brute in the world known as Craig. The art team's response was pretty much what I was hoping for. They confirmed that they've heard the feedback and have continued to work on and improve on what we saw in July, once again confirming that the demo we saw was a work-in-progress glimpse at the tech, and since then quite a few bugs and issues have been ironed out, along with visual improvements, which I definitely hope means that the armor on the Elites looks a bit more metallic. They do talk about how weapons and armor will have more wear and tear on them in the finished product, which I think will go a long way in making the armor look better overall. Little details like that make the world feel more real and lived in rather than pristine toys moving across the screen. The art team also talks about the direction for the art style of Infinite, and I stand by it looks spectacular, even more so with what we're shown in the screenshots provided by this interview. Halo Infinite looks like a direct upgrade from what we saw in the original trilogy, finding that perfect blend between Halo 3's simplicity and Halo Reach's detail, while appearing as graphically sound as what you'd expect from a modern game, which a team even describes as challenging, which was pretty interesting. But I do suppose when you want to market your game as the next gen and such, working with simple shapes and minimalistic designs that you were provided in the original trilogy might not immediately show off all the new fancy things you can do with your new engine or technology, which is what I imagine happened with the art direction of Halo 4 and Halo 5, but I definitely appreciate and applaud the restraint in terms of design because look at this sniper and rocket launcher. The Spanker is back, baby! Gone is that weird generic rocket launcher from Halo 5, and the sniper as well looks stunning, using the body of the Halo 5 sniper while also having this new scope from what I can tell. From this angle, it's hard to make out what exactly the scope might look like, but I do hope we get the green screen back from Halo 3. But moving on, the art team even talk a little about Craig and what's going on there. As one of the art team says, I can confirm that the facial animation on NPCs was not fully implemented in that build, which resulted in Craig's incredibly deadpan, lifeless look. All characters are modeled in a neutral pose, prior to blend shapes and animation being applied, so poor old Craig was never intended to be seen in that condition, which is not something that was evident during the gameplay. It was only later in the close-up freeze frame of his one bad moment, where it came to light and the legend of Craig was born. As much as we love Craig though, it seems like in the finished game he'll look very different. It's implied that facial animations are in whatever the current build of Halo Infinite is, and will definitely work wonders for making the brutes scarier. The closest analogue we have to Craig is Voradus in Halo Wars 2, who was a hairless blob of a brute, but the fact that he sneers and bares his fangs makes him so much more threatening. Getting facial expressions and reactions will go a long way in helping the brutes appear more menacing. And speaking of being a hairless blob, we also have confirmation that plenty of brute models have undergone a redesign to give them their hair back, which is good, excellent. I stand by the hairy brutes are just better designs and have always had more personality than the bald brutes. And even in Halo Wars 2, which is very clearly the artistic base for these brutes, the ones that had hair were more distinct and intimidating. So who knows, next time we see Craig, he'll likely be far angrier and potentially have a mohawk to boot. On top of that though, the art team says there's plenty of other models that have received significant changes, but don't elaborate onto what they might be. I have a theory that the brute armor we've seen might have changed. I know one of the main issues a lot of people have said was that it didn't quite look banished enough and should have been more scuffed or sharper. So I imagine and hope that these are one of the improvements. 343 have said they've been listening to the community, and like I said, that was something that was brought up a lot within the community. Following that, a conversation on the multiplayer side of things begins, and we're provided our first few screenshots of Halo Infinite's multiplayer, and I'm mostly happy with what I can see. The interview itself goes on to the graphical side of things, such as lighting, resolution, performance, things I don't understand and won't go into here, but if you're interested, I'll link the whole interview below so you can go into the details yourself. I'm going to instead talk about these screenshots and what we can infer from what we can see. Firstly, I think the map looks visually stunning from that graphical side. We can see sparks and reflections on surfaces, very good lighting, all that good stuff. This is very clearly a human-based map, which is something I'd like to talk about. My one wish for the multiplayer maps is to have far less human maps than what we got before. Halo 5 was just flooded with UNSC maps, and they all just aesthetically blended in with one another. All were very grey, and because of that, I feel like even the Forerunner maps blended in as well, as 343's version of the Forerunner seemed to solely rely on the colour grey, with maybe some red and blue. There needs to be more variety. The more distinct maps, the better the experience will be and the more memorable. Something I have spotted in this screenshot are those pickup icons. This is definitely the grappling hook that we've seen before at the July reveal. This has to be active camo, and I'm not too certain what this one is. My best guess is that this might be a weapon drop area similar to what we saw in Halo 5 because I can kind of see the silhouette of an assault rifle or a gun here. If this was the case, well, weapon drop panels confirmed, which means we'll be hearing an announcer saying that the power weapon is back on the field. Though I'd imagine like the previous Halo game, there'll be plenty of weapons that will just spawn without an announcement depending on how the map is built, if indeed this is a weapon drop pad in the first place. But seeing active camo and grappling hooks just further confirms for me what was said a while back, that a Halo 3 or Halo Reach-esque equipment will be available in Halo Infinite. I imagine it might be a mix. I don't think active camo is going to act like picking up the armor ability in Reach, where you could just have it until you died and can activate it whenever as long as it hasn't run out of charge. I would hope that it's like Halo 3 where it's a one-time use whenever you activate it or as soon as you grab it. The grappling hook, however, I think will be more like Reach. Once you've picked it up, you can use it until you die as long as it's recharged. That, I think, is more likely. I can't imagine the hook being a one-time deal. No idea if you can pick it off a dead Spartan, though. We'll just have to wait and see. Oh, also, this Spartan here is definitely sprinting, so multiplayer sprint confirmed. I was desperately hoping that sprint would be localized entirely to the campaign, but it seems like that's not the case. A part of me is trying to convince myself that maybe sprint is a pickup too and would work like Reach. I really hope that's the case, but I doubt it. I think the best we can hope for is that some game modes will have sprint and some won't, and that there's maps that work for both styles of play, as having sprint has just made even the small Halo maps be way too big. Getting back on track, the interview turns to the live team now, who are essentially responsible for the unlocks, armor customization, progression, challenges, and skins. So what do these guys talk about? Well, firstly, confirmation that we'll be getting a battle pass type system in Infinite. Something that's discussed is that the team really wants to feel like the player is rewarded for doing something in the game, which was something Halo 5 was definitely missing, and they even talk about that. Rewards were entirely randomized, and if you worked your ass off to get to the highest rank, which was no small feat by the way, you received nothing. To fix that, those who have reached rank 152 in Halo 5 will actually receive a special armor coating and weapon skin in Infinite. Now this is something I haven't talked about yet. Armor coating will essentially be the replacement to the color system from all the previous games. Instead of being able to instantly choose what color you want for your Spartan right at the start, you'll have to unlock very specific color combinations to apply to your armor. Think about Destiny's shader scheme. Essentially, instead of going, alright, I want my Spartan to be red and black, and you're done, instead of that, you'll have to unlock the color scheme, and the colors may be in a different position to where primary and secondary might be on a previous coat. I also think that you might be able to apply different coats to different sections of armor, so have one coat on your left shoulder and another for your helmet, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Don't take my word for it. It's a system that a lot of people are unhappy with, including to some extent me. Colors are the first thing a player gets the chance to express themselves with in Halo, and taking away that option isn't exactly great, though I do understand where it's coming from. Halo Infinite's multiplayer is going to be free to play. Did I mention that before? Well, yeah, Halo Infinite's multiplayer will be free to play, so I guess there needs to be some way for 343 to actually, you know, make a profit from it. Though I also fully accept that there are other ways you could have done this, I think the positioning of the colors should have been what's sold, like coats that make your armor look like tiger stripes or camo, instead, and letting us choose the colors of them, instead of giving us that first one but with the colors that have already been predetermined for us. But to go with this, we'll also be able to unlock weapon skins and vehicle skins, which is what I'm certain these stands in the screenshots will be displaying. And, thankfully, it won't be from a randomized loot box. What you earn or what you buy will be what you get. And yes, we do have confirmation that plenty of armor coats will be unlockable without you having to spend a penny. And 343 are promising that with this new armor coating system, there will be far more ways to customize your Spartans, so at the very least there's that. I do appreciate that the team is being upfront about why the choice was being made. It feels like I just made a monkey paw wish. On the one hand, free-to-play Halo gets the game into more people's hands and lets more people experience and have fun with the newest entry to the series. On the other hand, something we just had at launch before has been taken away and monetized. Oh, also they say coatings use smaller digital footprints and let us add new ones to the game without massive patches or taking up a ton of disk space, which was a learning from Halo 5. Which is pretty good by my books, because Jesus Christ, Halo 5 took up a lot of space. And just further confirmation on post-game support. I've seen some stuff that they have a 10-year plan with Halo Infinite, which could definitely work with the correct support. I'm really hoping to see campaign DLC. I think Awakening the Nightmare with Halo Wars 2 proves it can work for Halo, and honestly, just imagine an Arbiter expansion where you get to explore Zeta Halo as Arbiter with the Swords of Sanghelios to back you up. I'd buy it in an instant. There's plenty of potential there, and I hope that this 10-year plan does not ignore the story. Returning to armor though, we're shown plenty of new and returning armor for Halo Infinite, and oh, it's beautiful, sublime, look at it! These armors are everything I was hoping for. They look like they could perfectly fit into Halo 3 and Reach, capturing that simplicity of the original detail and yet managing to be visually distinct. Oh, also George's armor is back and looks great. Speaking of Reach, the live team says that we can expect the level of customization we got with Reach and more, which would mean helmets, helmet attachments, left shoulder, right shoulder, arm attachments, body, knees, utility packs, and visor color, which is already a lot. I don't know what more they could add, like maybe leg customization or full arm customization. Now here's what I've seen people been talking about, and I'm very excited if the guesses are true. The live team described everything from Reach will be back, and that they have a surprise to show later, that there's more to customize than just armor, visors, coatings, weapons, and vehicles. Now some people guess that this might mean the return of species selection, and that we might be seeing a return of playable elites. If true, I'm gonna scream. I've been playing as elites whenever possible. I think that they've had some of the most fantastic armor in the previous games, and it also just opens up more variety to add to the game. It's been a while since we've had playable elites. In Halo 2 and 3, they were pretty much equal to Spartans. In Halo Reach, they were there, but very limited. They didn't have the full breadth of customization. It could only be played in certain game modes, but it worked in Reach's favor, or at least that latter part did, because it gave us invasion. Following that, we've had nothing except for the Halo 2 remake. 4 and 5 didn't include elites because, to some extent, the multiplayer was canon, and 343 have said that it wouldn't have made sense for elites to have been serving aboard the Infinite. Why not? Why is the multiplayer canon? Put it back! I'll even take Reach's elites with minimal customization, just let me play as the Hinge Head. Something I'll also talk about here briefly is I've seen a lot of rumors that not only will playable elites be returning, but for the first time we might be getting playable brutes. There's nothing to support this leak. In fact, most of the leaks that include this tidbit have been debunked. But again, if true, it'll only be adding to that variety and will be a welcome addition. And that's all that's been said by the live team. The blog post concludes with Joseph Staten again, who says that he's been enjoying Infinite and that the game is basically what Bungie aimed to create in the first place with Halo CE, which, hearing that from Joseph Staten is a very comforting thing. Also, we have a pretty casual confirmation that Sentinels will be returning. Always happy to see them back. Hope we can actually fight them this time. Been a while since I've been shot at and can shoot a Sentinel beam in a campaign. We also get some talk that we're going to be getting more Halo Infinite news sometime soon. Not with Game Awards, but maybe a bit after. I'm not sure if it will be before New Year. We'll just see what happens there. And to round it all off, we get this wonderful piece of concept art showing off some of Zeta Halo's structures. Some people have said they aren't a fan of the hexagonal building blocks. I can understand it, but I personally don't mind them. I think every Halo has had some sort of a unique aesthetic choice to it, and this is just Zeta Halo's version. It'll definitely help to add some personality and a level of verticality to it, which will work wonders with the grappling hook. And that pretty much covers the blog spot. Like I said, I'll leave a link to it below, and I think I've also covered most of the information drops I've missed since my last video on Halo Infinite. Oh, except for what I'm almost certain is a Halo Infinite ARG. For the Halo 4 PC release, they put out this little lore video that quickly turns into something else that I'm almost certain was set during the events of Halo 5 as the Guardians attack Earth or whatever planet this is. I'm pretty sure the person in this video is also discussing a new AI, which I'm convinced is the one we've seen Chief using and the one that Cortana talks about in her secret message. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be Cortana 2, but we'll see. I'll discuss this ARG in more detail later if, well, more details come out about it. But that's it. I'm once again incredibly excited for Infinite. Despite sprint and armor coatings, I'm still very positive. The armors and weapons look amazing. Confirmation on equipment makes me very happy. Elites, maybe. If that happens, I will be the single most blissful man on the planet. If there's anything I've missed, feel free to inform me in the comments, and I'm always down to talk about opinions about Halo Infinite, so please, you can just shoot me a comment there and I'll respond, or follow me on Twitter to discuss whatever. If you want to see more from us, you can subscribe. And if you're looking for more Halo content, I have a playlist of a long-form Halo retrospective. I've covered everything from Halo CE to Halo Wars, and I'm currently working on my script for ODST, so look out for that. I'll be going all the way up to Halo 5, and we'll see if I cover Halo Infinite. Oh, and also look out for Elden Ring content whenever that decides to be a thing. It's a real game, I swear, it does exist! Besides that, I hope you all have a good day, stay safe. This is goodbye from the world's biggest Halo shill. See ya.